You have been creating your reality this entire time. This entire time, you've been the creator. This entire time, you were just told differently. You were just told to believe that you were just an employee. Now, before we dive into that lore of the subconscious mind and how it connects with the inner child and how it connects with how it literally creates your reality, for my newcomers, I wish to state that here on the channel, we've been talking about the spiritual basics. And more specifically, we've been talking about how to open up the mental aspect of our spiritual self, right? Because we have multiple aspects of self, but that's a lore for another day. And the reason for this is because, and we're going to dive into it in this video, but when we descended here from the spiritual realm, we forgot everything that we knew, that everything that we are. And on top of this world programmed us with its various modalities, as we mentioned in the previous videos. And so our mental aspect then became confined to this physical scope. And so in the beginning, it's very hard to accept anything new if all we have known is what we've been taught. And so that is the reason why I took the approach I took when creating this channel, and to go through the spiritual basics, so that for anybody who's, looking to begin their journey, or anybody who's in the midst of their journey, can have the basics so that they can use the tools that we've talked about in previous videos to help them open up their mind, but also heal. And so this really sparks, just a transition into moving into more about inner healing, right? And inner healing, it takes both the mind, the heart, the spirit, courage, and all of that. But I just wanted to talk about that for anybody who is new to the channel or anything like that. And so in today's lore, in today's yap session, we're going to be talking about the subconscious mind. Now, I know that the subconscious mind, the shadow self, the ego, all of that are spiritual basics. So if you came to this video and are looking to just for the practices that we will mention at the end of the video, feel free to skip to this mark and you'll find those practices. But in today's video, I want to talk about how the subconscious mind not only creates our reality, but is connected to our inner child, and how we can heal both the inner child and begin to awaken a new reality by reprogramming the subconscious mind. All right. Now, last thing, if you wish to support your boy, all right, we just dropped the website, elevatedoasis.life. There are a multitude of resources regarding sustainability. I even dropped a course on the chakras, which will cover more in depth about the topics that we've discussed in previous videos and in this video, from mental bodies, emotional bodies, to the subconscious mind and things of that nature. All right. So if you would just support your boy, go check it out, or, do the casual thing, like, comment, subscribe, and share. All right. So the subconscious mind, right? What is the subconscious mind? I'm gonna give like a little Mark Anthony's scientific definition of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is, you can look at it as a memory bank. It is where all of your experiences are stored, and more metaphysically, maybe even your ancestral and your past lives are stored too, right? And so in that, every single version of you that experienced a traumatic experience, anything that holds weight, anything that created a perception, or anything that you accepted as truth, or what society has told you, or anything, it's in your subconscious mind. And it dictates 95% of the way you behave, why you react a certain way, or why it is you're afraid of certain things, or why you hold perceptions about certain things. And so that other 5% is your conscious mind, right? And so when we choose to no longer use our conscious mind to be distracted by these physical things, to use it to inflict fear, to use it to inflict very low vibrational states of consciousness, we can now start to use our conscious mind to begin to reprogram our subconscious mind. Because when it comes to, trying to create that desired life, what happens is our subconscious mind has been programmed by our traumatic experiences, society's capitalistic ideas, religion, and our parents' teachings, that our conscious mind may be able to see it, but our conscious mind is going this way and our subconscious mind is going the other way. And that's the importance of reprogramming your subconscious mind so that you can sync both your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And so this gets me into how it connects to our inner child, because as we were growing up, our brains were they were very malleable. And this gets me to what I mentioned in last video, where I talked about how all the truths we have accepted have been spells, in the sense that they have been words casted upon an authoritative figure that we accepted as truth. Words, you spell those words. What's a spell? It's something that has been casted, right? A spelling, right? Start to see the correlation here. And so it's those words that we've accepted as truth growing up as a child, plus the traumatic experiences that create our subconscious mind, that create our subconscious perceptions of our reality, which becomes the reality we experience. But why is this the reality that we experience? Why do I continue to attract the same type of relationship, or the same type of friends, or the same type of income? And this gets into how it connects to our upbringing, because when we were growing up, we were told certain things. And so those things and those traumatic experiences, they lie within our energetic field, some on an emotional level, our emotional body, some on a mental level, our mental body. And I dive more into what that means in the chakra course. And so those things are part of our aura, are part of the electromagnetic being that we are. Our emotions plus our thoughts emit a frequency, and that frequency is emitted and then becomes what we attract and manifest into physical reality. So if in our subconscious mind, we are still holding on to limiting beliefs, we are still holding on to what our dad did to us a long time ago, and we're still holding on to that pain, we're still holding on to those perceptions about an authoritative figure, or we're still holding on to what that girl did to us a while back. All of those things get stored in our energetic field. And this gets me more into the spiritual essence of it, leaving the mental, but seeing how it's also connected to that heart space, right? Because we have a mind and a heart for a reason. And so those emotions are getting stored, and they can either rise up as subconscious habits, whether, we're doing something in a relationship because of what happened in the past, or they can rise up as conscious thoughts of this guilt, of shame, of anger and bitterness, because deep down subconsciously there's an inner child that's still holding on to those things. And like I said in the beginning, the subconscious mind is a memory bank. So whatever happened in the past, your inner child is reliving that over and over again, until you, as the new parent, go in there and free that version of yourself. Allow that version of yourself to be free. Because if we don't free ourselves, then we're bound to repeat the same cycle, right? And that is, in essence, a part of why we came here. It's to heal that lineage within us, heal our ancestral line, heal our generation, through no longer choosing to repeat what they did in the past, but by choosing to feel what has happened and recognize you have the power to free yourself of the past and begin to alchemize that stiff energy, begin to let go of that bitterness, and begin to reprogram your mind. And so all of that sounds dandy, all of that sounds sweet, all of that sounds amazing. I'm finna awaken a new reality by reprogramming my mind. But how do we do this, right? And so this gets me into some personal practices that I did in the beginning of my journey. I still do to this day. And if you want more practices, feel free to, like, any video that you click here on the channel, I guarantee you is going to have a practice to help you heal in some type of way. But I wanted to mention the ones that directly correlate to reprogramming the subconscious mind, right? So first one up, and the first one that I did, I don't have any of my journals with me, but I journaled. Like I have like 5 filled up journals of just pure observation, pure reflection, just any energies I felt, any dreams I had, any experiences I had where I just observed this divine essence. I wrote it down. I had this thing where I used to like have an experience, and then I'd be like, okay, we noticed this in the past. What's the improvement? What did I improve on, and what do I want to continue to improve on? And so this gets into talking to those versions of self that may be still holding on to certain things. And when we start to journal, we are literally allowing ourselves to communicate with our subconscious mind. But on that deeper spiritual esoteric version, we are literally communicating with those other versions of self. And so when we're doing that, it's allowing for their thoughts to be expressed, for what they're holding on to be expressed. I've had experiences where I started to journal, and like a past version of me, like I'm a lover's boy, I'm a romantic, and so I used to be very dramatic when it came to relationships and things like that, and that had its double-edged sword within itself. And I remember I used to be writing in my journal, and I would notice this dramaticism, and I would go back and be like, that's just blah 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 Mark from this era of life. And I would laugh at myself. But it gets to the point about journaling being that doorway to communicating with those versions of self, whether it's an inner child. It doesn't always have to be an inner child. It could be when you were like 15, when you were 12. Like, age is a physical representation that, like, I don't even want to go into that lore, but just know that you're not bound by your physical age. And when I say inner child, it doesn't necessarily mean like when you were, young and stuff like that. It can be just a younger version of you. And so when we start to journal, we can start to reflect, we can start to observe. And from those observations, this is what I did. You can literally create now not only unique affirmations, but unique tools and lessons that you can pull from your experiences and what you're observing, and use those things as little reminders, as little conscious moments to help you bring what you're learning subconsciously into your consciousness, so that when you're in the midst of an experience that is similar to old experiences, you allow yourself to be, okay, I'm aware of this. I allow myself to breathe, to calm down, to no longer move from fear, but to move from love. And it's just little things like that, by choosing to observe yourself and creating affirmations, going back to the idea that everything that we have accepted as truth have simply just been words. They have been spells that we've accepted that now govern our subconscious mind. So we too have the power to do the same thing. But by journaling and getting specific about it, it's almost like you're writing your own code for your mind now. And so you're no longer allowing your external to influence your mind, but you become the influencer of your mind. And so that gets me into the next practice, right? Which is visualization. And so, as I stated, the subconscious mind is a memory bank. So it's holding all of those experiences as like little movies in your mind, all of them, right? So going back to the meditation practice that I mentioned in last week's video, when we enter meditation, we are entering what you would call slower brain waves, or a lower frequency of brain waves. And what that means is you're entering a more relaxed state. And that relaxed state is giving you access to your subconscious mind. So whether you're meditating with the mudra, whether you're meditating with a mantra, or you're just sitting and practicing a breathing technique, you are entering a relaxed state that allows you to not only to not only access your subconscious mind, but the deeper parts of self, right? As I stated, we've been covering the mental aspect, but man, there is so much more to this game, all right? So when we enter those states, it's allowing us to access the subconscious mind. And so visualization comes into play, because like I've stated, there are versions of you that exist within you, and they may be holding on to certain things. So a practice that I love doing, and I've had beautiful experiences with, is simply just traveling back to that version of me that I feel called to, or I feel is the reason why I may be reacting this way, or the reason why I'm holding on to this thing. And from there, I remember having an experience where I walked through this door and I seen this version of me that was holding on to this guilt, that was holding on to this shame. I remember just sitting down with him and talking to him and being like, bro, we can let this go. We can forgive ourselves. And that's an important part of not only healing, but reprogramming the subconscious mind, is forgiving yourself. We become aware of certain things and we look back and like, bro, what the fuck was I doing back then? But we were ignorant. We were unaware. So it's just letting ourselves be okay with not holding on to the past and not letting it define us. And I remember in that experience, when I finished talking to him, we had both walked through the same door that I entered. And it just sparks that healing. It just sparks that energetic essence. And so when we can allow ourselves to just create this open space within ourselves and become the version of ourselves that little one within us would want to hang out with, or would accept as a new parent, to free them, to parent them and things like that, I feel like that's when the healing really starts to happen. And so the last practice is simply doing something that your inner child would do. Now for me, it varies from eating the same foods, that's not meat obviously, playing the game, watching movies. I'm trying to think. Playing with action figures sometimes. I used to play with action figures all the time. You can see in some of my thumbnails, it's an action figure. But just doing things that awakens that inner child within you, that awakens that heart space within you. And that in itself is a healing practice in itself. And so now when I state this, it's also important to recognize balance. And what I mean by this is, most of those things I just named, they were physical pleasures, right? And you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. It's like, am I overindulging in certain things as I used to do when I was a kid? And is it keeping me from pursuing other ambitions? Is it keeping me from really diving further into my spiritual practices? And these are the type of reflections that you want to dive into when in that healing journey, because it's very easy to let that inner child within us run free, and it's important to let them run free, but also in that same aspect, we are growing up. And so I feel like it's just finding that balanced relationship with that inner child freedom, and also directing that playful energy into something that is building something here in the physical, that is aligned with our passion and things like that. And for anybody that may be confused when I'm saying that, I feel like the answer will come to you as you begin to heal, like it did for me. Like, looking back, like, I've been making content since maybe like 2020, and it was all types of different stuff, and it varied from all different genres, but just playing around and being aligned in my passion and what I felt called to do, it led me here. So it's just like listening inward and using the practices that we mentioned not only helps you reprogram your mind, but it really just, it sparks that opening of the more infinite being that you are. And from there, more light starts to shine within your mind. You start to feel called to certain things, and you start to experience life on a more potent level. You start to experience life with this just deeper meaningfulness, because you start to see the connectedness of it all, right? So that's my spiel on the power of the subconscious mind, how it connects to the inner child, and how you can heal the inner child and reprogram your subconscious mind to awaken a new reality. All right. Now, 2 side notes. Okay. First side note is the shadow self. And what I view the shadow self as is parts of us that are holding on to certain things. Like, it's darkness. It's the ego, right? And so you've heard a lot of people, kill the ego, things like that. And that's not necessarily wrong. But for me, what I've recognized is that you don't necessarily kill the ego, because it's that physical part of ourselves. It's the part of ourselves that want to protect us, right? And that comes with this mental games within itself, right? And so the thing is, and like it's like a parent and a child relationship. The ego is attached to the physical. It wants to protect us here in the physical. So the mental aspect of it is that the ego, the shadow self, it's correlated. They will throw mental ideas that come from a low-key, a limited perspective sometimes. And it will try to get us to play in them, to get attached to them. So as you begin to heal, recognize that as you evolve, your ego will evolve too. But it's the act of transcending and being aware that, yes, I have a lower nature. Yes, I have an ego, and I don't have to be confined by it. If I need to play in it, right? You know, certain experiences call for certain roles, right? It's the reason why we have it. Then I play in it. But I don't need to be limited by its, mental games that it likes to play. So that's just a little side note. Just be aware of that in your healing journey, and it may evolve uniquely for everybody. Second side note, as we conclude this beautiful video, like I said in the beginning, if you guys wish to support me, feel free to drop down and check out the elevatedoasis.life website. A beautiful culmination and expression of me, just what I'm into: sustainability, healing, and helping people across the world, right? That's what Elevated Oasis. I can go on whole spiel, but I won't. And like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys have already done the usual, all right? And don't gatekeep this, all right? There's a friend out there that's wanted to heal and things like that, so definitely share it with a friend. But with that said, my name is Mark Anthony. Thank you so much for joining me here, and welcome to the Cosmic Show, aka Elevated Talk. Peace to all, and gratitude to the ancestors.